Recording drums in a home studio part dos. That's right. I've been learning Spanish. All right, so today we're going to talk about something that I refer to as the good equation or the good formula. And in discussing that, we will take a look at the microphones that I'm using, the microphone placement on the drums, the mic pre's, unison pre's on the Apollo, and then we will take a look at the session in Luna and the plugins I'm using and how I make this little room in my house, which is, let's be fair, pretty awesome, sound like this. Obligatory smash like for the YouTube algorithm, and also go subscribe to the second channel, Andrew Masters IRL. Podcast coming soon. Subscribe to this channel if you have not. Very cool new videos coming very soon. I'm very excited about it. Let's jump into it. All right, so first let's touch on this so-called good formula, good equation. How do I get good drum recordings in my house or my bedroom or my home studio or whatever it is? Well, it's basically compound interest of good decisions in the process. So what? Good drums. The drums are good. They are tuned well. The good tuning of the drums. Have whoever's playing the drums be, good at playing the drums, or, moderately good. Hitting the drums the right way is very important. You see where I'm going here. Good microphones, right? Good microphone cables. The microphones are positioned well. But again, the combination of all of these things together, good signal path, good mic pre, signal processing, good decisions with the plugins in the mix and sort of the gain staging and all of that. That's how you get a good recording, a good drum recording. That you get it, right? Okay. So that's the good formula. Now I'm going to show you what I'm doing in this room with my setup. So I'm using a 1965 Slingerland Studio King drum kit. It's a good drum kit. It's tuned okay. It's not bad tuning. This particular recording is a sort of modern rock, kind of hard rock, radio rock kind of style tuning. There's a little ringy snare, kind of, and when I whack my snare hard at times, sometimes it comes out of tune. So the tuning, it's pretty good. Played it okay. I did an all right job. This isn't going to go anywhere. This isn't for a client or anything. So, I did my best. Good mics, affordable mics, actually. I'll get to those in a second. Good clean path, good pre's. We'll talk about all that in a second. So that's how I'm doing this in my room. My room's pretty good. It's pretty dead. You saw that in this video if you watched that. Yeah, so now let's talk about the microphones. So real quick run through of the mics. Kick drum, kick in, D112, kick out, Studio Projects B1, snare, SM57, rack tom, Audix I5, floor tom, Audix D4, hi-hat, SM81, overheads, AEA R88, mono kit / mono overhead, warm audio 87. That's 8 microphones that I used on this with technically 9 inputs. So those are the mics that I'm using. Now let's talk about the microphone positions. So in regards to microphone placement, there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. There's sort of close miking, there's distant miking, there's accent room miking, then there are specific techniques like XY, space paired, Glenn Johns, stuff like that. I'm just going to show you what I'm doing in this room with this particular setup for drums. It's a home studio. I think there's a lot of people probably recording drums at home or in some version of a home studio, project studio, something like that. My way is not super original. It's actually very simple. So I have the drums, for the most part, close mic'd, right? I've got my kick in, kick out. The way I place my kick drum mics is the AKG D112 is inside the kick drum. It's just dead center of the drum, pointed right at the beater. And then I have the Studio Projects B1 on the outside of the kick drum. It's the exact same height as the AKG D112, and they're both pointed in the exact same direction. This really helps with the phase relationship to capture the fullest frequency of the drum. It's an 18-inch kick drum, so it can only do so much. If you capture all of it, it tends to give you a better outcome. Now, with the snare drum, I'm using the Shure SM57 on top. That's it. No snare bottom, no fancy anything. The way that I'm positioning it is I'm coming at it from above instead of, there's a lot of different people sort of do different things with the drum. I sort of just come at it above the drum about 3 or so inches, and I point it down, not straight down, but sort of 45 degrees at the center of the drum. Giving that a little bit of space and cocking it so that it's coming down instead of sort of at a side angle, I think helps with the phase relationship between the overhead mics, which is important to me and what I like to hear. As far as the toms, the Audix i5 and the D4, I'm doing the same thing. I'm coming at it a little bit from above, just over the rim of the drum, 45 degrees, pointed at the center of the drum, about 3 or so inches. It's not scientific, I'm not measuring, just sort of putting it there, and I like it. Hi-hat. Now with the hi-hat, I'm using the Shure SM81 pencil condenser, and I'm coming right at the edge of the hi-hat cymbals, and I am coming at a 90-degree angle, pointed straight down at the cymbals. And as far as the distance from the hi-hat cymbals, I would say just exercise your own judgment based on how aggressive the drummer is going to be playing. This song in particular is a pretty aggressive rock song, so I'm not too close, but not too far. I don't know, 3 or 4 inches. It has a 10 dB pad, so it sounds good. In regards to the overhead mics, I'm using the AEA R88. This is a stereo ribbon mic with the ribbons in XY. Happens to be a particularly favorite position of mine for stereo miking. It's on one mic, so it's just on one stand. I just slide that mic in right over the ride cymbal, leaving the toms at one side of the mic and the other side of the mic, which happens to position the snare drum right dead center of the 2 ribbons. That's what I want. I want snare in the middle of my overheads and rack tom on one side and a floor tom on the other side. This way, when I go to pan my toms, everything sort of works. It sounds right. The phase relationship feels really good and natural. Now, as far as my mono overhead or my mono drum kit mic, in this particular instance with this recording, it actually is placed as a overhead. It's less over the kit and it's more literally over my head. So it technically is an overhead. It's straight above my head, and I have the height matching the R88 so that the 2 mics are placed at the exact same height. This is, again, to get the best phase relationship with the rest of the drums. And I'll show you a little more of that when we jump into the recording. But that's it. There's no room mics. There's no fancy techniques going on here. Very simple stuff here. The overhead mics are pretty nice. Those are where I really spent the money because I believe that the overhead mics are the most important mics in the whole picture. All of the close mics are reasonably affordable. If you guys are interested and you don't want to go for the drum kit mic pack and you're just starting out, this would be the mics. The close mics that I'm using are essentially sort of the next step up. They're not vintage, they're not overly fancy. They're pretty, you can get them at like a Guitar Center or Sweetwater or Amazon, wherever. Links are in the description if you want to go check those out. Okay, so in regards to the audio interface and the mic pre's, I am using the Apollo X audio interface. This version is the X8P, so there are 8 built-in unison pre's on this particular interface. I'm also using 2 external mic pre's, which are the Warm Audio WA273. These are clones or imitations of the Neve 1073 microphone. Microphone preamp. So it's just the mic pre has a roll off and then like a line trim. I'm using those on the R88 as the overhead microphone preamps. The rest I'm using the unison pre's built into the Apollo X8P. So let's take a look at console here and I will show you exactly the setup. It is extremely simple. On channel 2 here, labeled Andy, this is me talking. This is how I record myself. But ignore that. So we have our inputs, kick in. Andy is actually kick out typically. Snare top, mono kit, rack tom, floor tom. Analog 7/8 is actually the overheads. And then over here on A.3 is hi-hat. So this is, the hi-hat is actually coming in from my Focusrite Scarlett 18920. And that just has nothing on it because it's just coming in via ADAT. So for the unison mic pre's, I'm using the Universal Audio 1073 Neve plugin. So essentially the preamp that I'm using is an emulation of the Neve 1073 mic pre on the Neve console. So I have the Unison version of this made by Universal Audio. As you can see here, it's just a, it's just this. I don't even think I'm using the EQ on any of these. I might, but all I'm doing is using these on individual channels here and flipping phase when it is necessary. So there's no fancy tricks, a little line boost here and there. Phase, this one looks like, what is this? This is the rack tom. Looks like I boosted the high end just barely on my toms and nothing on the overheads because the overheads are coming in from the Warm Audio mic pre's, which have no EQs on them either. So just very simple Unison clones of the 1073, and then on the overheads I'm using the Warm Audio clones of the 1073 as well. I really like that, and I wanted to record drums just using those mic pre's. So that's the setup in console. Oh, and I also have these 1176s on here, but they were inactive, so I was not using them. And the last thing I'll mention is I actually have the Insert Effects UAD set to record, which means I am recording through these Unison pre's. And again, the processing as far as the compression, I wasn't using any of that. Okay, so next, let's jump into Luna and listen to the recording that I got from this, and then I'll show you the plugins that I'm using. Again, so I want to show you kind of the after and the before and how I got there, because I'm not really there's not a lot of mixing. I really basically didn't even, I don't want to say I didn't mix, because there's like some EQ and a little compression, a little decapitator action. But if you watch my videos, this is nothing new to you. I'm not putting that much time and effort, and that's the goal, is like put the time into the placement, put the time into the drum tuning and the performance, and you don't have to spend that much time on the mix and you get great results. Like, it's kind of stupid how great the results are. All right, so this is Luna. I'm falling in love with Luna. So check this out. We've got our mix window here, edit window here. These are the drums. And yeah, we flip back over here. You can see I got it laid out how I normally have. There's like a playback track here, my master bus, our music bus, vocal bus, drums, decapitator as you would expect, the Ocean Way room, and then our kick drum bus, and then our audio track. So over here on the audio track, sorry, the camera's kind of blocking this. Yeah, if we go through and solo this, actually I don't even have to solo it, we'll just hear it wherever it is in the song. Just stupid good. Like, all right, let's take a look at what's going on here technically. All right, so this is our signal chain and how it works in the mix window in Luna. So you can sort of show and hide different sections. Let's look at our inserts first, right? So this is it, on our music bus going top down, I've got the Fab Filter limiter. I'm gonna turn that off. I'm gonna slowly turn things off so you can hear what it sounds like before, after, and before. So you heard what it sounds after. I'll just go ahead and mass turn everything off on the insert side. I'm gonna keep the things that have phase flipped, I think, are this one and this one. So if I put those on, maybe this one too. Yeah. Okay. So I'll leave those where they have the phase flip. I'm gonna turn off my inserts. I'm gonna turn off the tape saturation, and then I'm gonna turn off the Neve summing, which we're gonna talk about this stuff. Don't worry. All right, so let's listen to the drums without any processing, saturation, or any of the Luna unique fun that you can have. I've got the Pro Q on where the phase is flipped, but aside from that, no processing. This is just as is. That's exactly what I would expect to hear. It sounds good. There's nothing about it that sounds bad. It's not super exciting, but it has the groundwork for a great mix, right? So now when I can turn on let's go sort of step by step here. I'm going to turn on the plugins for the individual audio tracks, right? So let's see, our kick in and kick out are being bussed through a kick bus, so I can just control them on one thing. Got our EQ and our compression on here. And then we have our snare, which has a Fab Filter EQ, doing a little filtering here, a little cut on our ring, and a little boost in the mids and on the top. And then we have our compression here. I think I can do this and just see the whole chain in one. Yeah. So fab filter and compressor in one view. This is our snare chain. And then I'm going to turn the snare on, right? And the fab filter, boom, boom, both on. Okay. And then on our kit, I'm using the fab filter EQ to sort of, you know, a little nip, little tuck, little roll off here. Basically nothing. I mean, what are these boosts? The biggest boost is not even 2 dBs of boost. So just very subtle stuff. And then the mono kit mic has a decapitator. This is like more of a fun, sort of exciting toy that I'm doing on here. I'll show you that in a minute. On the toms, I'm basically using these SSL channel strips to gate the toms and put a little bit of high boost on there. I don't even really need to be using the SSL for this, but it's all in one plugin. It's nice to use. Okay, and then on the hi-hat, I have the fab filter and the... Okay, so this is cool. This is unique to the style of the song. It's a pretty aggressive rock song. So I have this Sound Toys Devil Lock on the hi-hat mic, which just sort of crunches it up and adds a lot of compression onto it. It's kind of pulled down low, but you'll tell when I put it all in there. Okay, and then on the overheads, I just have the, let's see, we got the Fab Filter Pro Q and the Manly Very Mu compressor, which this thing is super wicked for rock. Okay, so I got those both turned on. All right, so now we have our processing on the individual audio tracks, and then on our drum bus, I'm using the Pultec Pro and the SSL bus compressor. Okay, so both of these are awesome. I mean, this is just a little, I don't even, what am I doing on the Pultec? It's I'm basically just boosting 12K and then I'm attenuating 20K on it. I'm not doing anything with the mids. There's a little tiny bit of attenuation on the low frequency there, and it's right in between sharp and broad, so it's right up the middle. And then on the bus compressor, I have it compressing at a 35% mix blend, so it's like parallel compressing it almost. Okay, so let's listen to the processing that is on the actual drum tracks, the drum bus, and then our compressor on the music bus, but without the sort of fun extra bits. And I'll show you those after we listen to this. So this is with EQ and compression basically on the drums. Already so much better, you can tell. Okay, now we're gonna add in a little more fun. Okay, so inside Luna, they have a tape simulator, and then they have Neve summing. So let's add on the tape saturation. In this case, it's the Studer A800, and I have it boosted about 6 dB on each channel all the way across the audio track. So I'm gonna play it again without the Studer, and then I will add it on. We'll hear the difference. That's without, and now I'm gonna turn them on. Bada bing, bada boom. Here we go. It's almost like it adds a level of seriousness to it. It's very strange. It's kind of hard to describe, but that's kind of what tape is. It's extremely subtle, but it's kind of just more round, in my opinion. Let's listen to it again without. Turn them off. Here it is without. All right, and here it is with it. Okay, pretty awesome. All right, now, next thing, this is unique to Luna. This is their Neve summing, and this, you have to buy the Neve summing, or you can demo it when you're first trying it out, but when you add on a bus, that's where it shows up. It shows up on the bus for bus processing. So I'm gonna turn it on a couple spots. I'm gonna turn it on the music bus, on my drums, and on my room. We're not hearing the room yet, but I'm just gonna turn it on. Okay, so here it is. Same thing with the Neve summing. All right, without the Neve summing, quick turn it off. Here we go. All right, and then with it on, here we go. Sick, right? Okay. Now the next bit of fun. So we've got our tape, our Studer on here. We've got our Neve summing. We've got our immediate processing on the audio tracks and on our bus tracks. Now we're going to add in some sort of fun saturation room. If you guys watched my last video on how to make a small room drum recording sound bigger, I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to add in the decapitator bus, which thickens it up. Here it is with that. Crank that for you. Again, this is just in this room. It's dead in here. There is no action happening in this room. It sounds awesome. Now I'm going to add in the Ocean Way Studio plugin. Here it is. Same thing with the Ocean Way room added in parallel. Yeah, I mean, bigger, more room. All right, now the last thing I did not add on here is this decapitator onto the drum kit mic. Let's solo this drum kit. This is the mono overhead, the WA87. Here it is without the decapitator. Sounds cool. No compression. That's just going through the bus, which there's some bus compression sort of on the drum bus. And now I'm going to add in this decapitator, which is just going to totally color the track. It's going to sound cool. And here it is with the whole kit. Now the last little bit I'm going to put on here is just a little bit extra. Again, we're taking step by step in the good equation, the good formula, to make it just a little bit more good. All right, and this is just straight overkill here. Now I'm going to add another tape machine on our mix bus, the music bus, which is the Ampex ATR 102. And let's do an A beat. Here it is before. And then here it is after. And I wouldn't typically put this on just with drums, but just when I have other instruments and everything mixed, then I would slap on the Pro L to sort of hold everything down and sort of glue it all together just a little bit more than it already is. Unnecessary, but fun. Okay, so again, quick A/B of everything. We're going to turn off the Neve summing. We're going to turn off the tape machines, and then all of our processing. Boom, here it is before, totally dry. And to be fair, some of the plugins I disarmed have the phase flip, so that helps a bit. But now I'm going to turn everything back on. Bada bing, bada boom. All the processing, all the tape saturation, all of the Neve summing, and the tape machine. Here we go. Ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. Anyway, if you guys like the video, make sure to smash like for the YouTube algorithm. All of this stuff, super interesting to me. I'm really pumped about the Apollo system. I'm really pumped about the UAD plugins and Luna, the whole system. I think these guys are the sleepers. If you guys are in the market for audio interfaces and plugins, I strongly recommend start getting into this ecosystem. Anyway, smash like for the YouTube algorithm, hit subscribe to see more videos like this. Got some new stuff in the works. It's going to be coming up. Go check out the second channel at ANDREWMASTERS IRL. Hit subscribe over there. If you guys have any interest in booking me as a drummer, or as a mix engineer, or just want to do some Zoom consultations, ANDREWMASTERSmusic.com. Go check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to eat this macaroni and cheese, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.